Pleasant good morning to you. Good morning. Welcome to this episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption Incompetence. Today Wednesday, the 17th day of April 2024. Welcome one and all to this midweek episode. I hope you've had a relaxing few days. You were here last on Monday, and as we indicated then, so many things we anticipated that so many things would have happened, and indeed, so many things have happened between Monday and now that we need to bring to your attention. So welcome. Hope you all had a pleasant night and that you're looking forward to a productive day. We have lots of information to give you today, as usual, and I want to again compliment all the students for being here very, very early this morning. This program was scheduled just about 7 this morning, and immediately students were in the schoolyard. And when we went live just a while ago, the ones on Facebook and YouTube have been pouring in. So welcome, one and all. As we said, share the live. It is scrolling across the screen there, reminding you that you should share the live. Give us a thumbs up and let us know that we are appreciated. We know many of them, even though they indicate to people they don't appreciate what we are doing, they look. And I know some of them, those who are capable, have been learning. The evidence suggests that many of the things that we discuss on this program, many of the advice that we pass on to them have been taken on, and we have seen some changes. We have more advice to give them this morning. So as I said, lots of students in the classroom overnight, and it is a good thing. It shows the enthusiasm, it shows the willingness to learn, and we are encouraged by that, and we will continue to come here as we do on Mondays and Wednesdays to bring you the credited, valuable information. And as I said, this is not only for you students, but we know that they record and they listen and they take into consideration some of the things that we have said. Even though some might view our method has been unorthodox, it's about the message. Don't forget about the messengers, Slow and Conway. Forget about the messengers, listen to the message. And if you listen to the message, you are going to learn. And yeah, so Mr. Conway, my colleague, is already in the studio, and he's willing, ready, and able to go. And we're going to go into the program in detail in a short while. But you know the usual thing, we do the roll call, I make some announcements, and then Mr. Conway is going to come in to let us carry on with the program. And we'd like to remind you that this is the day that the Lord has made, and we should rejoice and be glad in it. We should always give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living, because that is where we are, in the land of the living. So many persons are not this fortunate. So we should always give praise and thanks to the Almighty for allowing us to see this new day, for allowing us to be on this program, so that you can get this information, so that we can share this information with you. So welcome. Share the live. Let them know that we are here, even though the numbers are very, very encouraging. Keep sharing. Don't be selfish. Keep sharing. Everyone here should share to at least 5 persons, and we're going to see, you're going to know that more people are being informed. We are conscious of the fact that those who are unable to be on the live, they go to YouTube, they go to Facebook, and they get to see the program. Because to watch this live in certain departments, it's a no-no. People can be transferred, people can be disciplined for watching this live. Only recently, a certain minister in the current government went to Sapphire, and he told the people them they're playing, they shouldn't be watching that Slow and Conway and some other programs he mentioned. But people want information, people want to know the truth, and that is what we are bringing to you, and that is what we will continue to bring to you. The truth bothers some people. The truth, they don't want to hear the truth, and therefore that is even more reason that we are going to bring the truth to you. So yeah, share the live and rejoice and give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. Excuse me. When we scheduled this morning, again, because of the numbers that came in, the 4 set of people who logged on were actually removed from the chat, and that is not our doing. That is the platform that we're on. It would appear as though when it reaches a certain number of people commenting orally, I don't know how it works, but I can tell you because I made a note of the first person who was on this morning, and when you look at it now, that is not reflected in the chat. So let me tell you, the first person on this morning at 6:43 was Joan, followed by Akko at 6:44, followed by Denise at 6:47, Wayne, and then Vibert. He came in at 6:49. He was followed by Daniel. Daniel was followed by Floyd. Then we have Eric, 8218. Then after Eric, he came in at 6:53. So too did Charles, DX. Then we had Bert, Jakey. Jakey came in at 6:55. Then Carlisle came in at 6:59. Francis Skip from Melanie came in at 7. John Cummins came in at 7:04. Evelyn Nelson, 7:08. Kenneth came in at 7:13. And Fergus came in at 7:19. But if you look on the chat, if you look at the comments there now, those persons are not reflected. The first person reflected is all the way from Paris. And I putting up the name there now, is Clifton. And then Cecile, Maury came in next. Bonita from Paradise West Coast, Borbies. Then out of the UK, we had Winston, followed by Rawl. Lawrence, can't recall seeing Lawrence before. Welcome. Debbie, Shetred, Ulrich from Crane. Then we had Maureen from Seattle, all the way on the West Coast. Maureen is here, followed by Jean. And then we had Aileen. Aileen was followed by Isabella from Manhattan. Camille. Then we had Patricia from Philadelphia. You know, I do these things for you to see the widespread of students. Terence from Canada. Stefan, Marlin, and we had Winston. And Winston is encouraging us to continue to educate, which we will do. Joseph was here. Earl, Schwartz, Leon, Patrick is from Bloomfield, New Jersey. Patrick from Bloomfield, New Jersey. Excuse me. Tallulah is here. Princess R from Lamar Springs is in the house. Barbara. Then we have my squad mate Carl from Arizona. Emerson is very much here. Midtown, Manhattan, he's from. Duan, Brian, Courtney, the Sauls are here. Welcome. Then we have Sandra, Malcolm. This is Malcolm Robinson, and Josiah. After that, we had Desiree from Georgia. Danny, welcome, Danny. Always good to see you. Easy. Then we had Roy. Roy's from Schenectady, upstate New York. Pito from Queens is here. Ether, always present. Ovid came next. Gordon from Canada. Colin from Queens. Mary. Then we have Philip. After Mary, Philip. Then we have John. John made some interesting commentary. He said that he's present in class today. He always tried to be first in class, but he always get beat. Always get beat. So it's I don't know how those people who are here very old. I guess since they get the notification, they sign in. Then we have Sharwin, Rhonda, Family Music. Everett from Texas is here. Karen. Doreen, my squad mate from New Jersey. Colin. There's Colin Ari. He's followed by Colin Barker. Then Brendan is here. Anthony Bradshaw from Peters Hall, East Bank, Demerara. Original Black Man, I missed you a few weeks, my brother. Welcome back, Original Black Man. Then we have Oren from the UK, is in the house. Clarence, Vibort, the man from East Bank, Demerara, is here. Sheena, Clay is in the house. Marcia is in the house waiting. Raymond, can't recall seeing Raymond before, but he's in New York. Lynette, Jacko from Georgia is here. Then we have one Hilrad, and he says he's ex-police constable 9932, transferred to the TSU. He said Mr. Paul Slow was a drill instructor at that time. Mr. Slow was an awesome, strict, and no-nonsense guy, and still is. Of course, I still am, and I will continue to be that. It's my nature. It's in the DNA. Then we have Trevor. He was followed by Deborah. Robin, Glendis, Rohan is here. Michael Brower is in the house. Cello came next. Patrick Miller is in the house. Then from Trinidad, my cousin, Yes and Slow. Then we have Yanet Jones. Melville came in. Johnny, Melissa, the secretary coming late. You gotta watch it. You have to be here very earlier than this. Malcolm is in the house. El Ben, this is another Ben. El Ben. And he already indicated to us some time ago that he's not related to that one. So welcome, El Ben. Then we have Marcia. After Marcia, all the way from California was TK, Terrence King. 9135 was his regulation number. And Terrence is followed by Joyce. Then after Joyce, we had Shemlin. And that was the last on YouTube. And Shemlin came in at 10:59. And when we went live, we had Shelly. Then we have Sister Trifosa. We have Joyce. Abdun from Essequibo Coast. Welcome, Abdun. Karen is here. Rhonda from Denhamstel. And Edward. And it goes on and on and on and on. Welcome, you folks. Welcome. Relax, sit back, get your Cokes and popcorns. This morning is going to be very, very hectic, hot. Enough information to give to you. Now, let me start by making some of the announcements before I bring Mr. Conway in. We start most times, or every time, with the announcements to let you know those who have passed. And we regret to inform you of another passing, the death of retired Woman Sergeant 15463 Glendora owner. She was last stationed at the registry at Anna Regina there, Region Division 2. And it is reported that she died on Monday following a brief period of illness. Then we indicated to you the death of retired Inspector Nielsen Chan. I think we gave a wrong number. We said his regulation number was 6411. That is to be corrected. His regulation number was actually 6311. Our apologies for giving you the wrong number. And then we also had, some time ago, we should have mentioned this before, the unfortunate death of Corporal Leroy Tom of the Guided Defense Force. He died after concluding a training exercise at Takama in the Breeze River. So he took him after this exercise and he died. And we don't know what is the cause of death. I guess at some stage they are going to tell us that, but we can't hold our breath because, when it comes to people dying in the GDF and even in the police, they don't give certain information out. We talk about the helicopter crash so long, you can't hear what really transpired. Then there was the accident on the Linden Suzaik Highway, which took the life of that female sergeant. You hear not more about it. And that is what is going on. So I want to express condolences to the relatives and friends of all those deceased persons and say may they rest in peace and rise in glory. Again, up to now, Sergeant Vaughn, police sergeant, over a month ago, you can't hear anything about that matter. Now, let me say, coming off of the death, in terms of announcements, birthday announcement, let me say this. Belated birthday greetings. He's not a police, but I think he's well known. The one and only Ron Robinson, broadcaster par excellence, actor, comedian. He ran the full gamut. Ron celebrated his birthday, I think it was yesterday, and I want to take this opportunity to wish Ron all the best and for him to see many, many more birthdays. Every time I see Ron, I will tease him, and he always get some good response, He always has a jovial response. So Ron celebrated his birthday recently. All the best to you, Ron. Then, of course, let me just say to the cricketers, Ulrich and others who are here, remember yesterday, cricket by glorious, a game of glorious uncertainties. Ben chased down the 222, 223, I think it was. well, can't say easily, but it was an exciting game. Once this game go into the last over, it's always exciting. And that's what you want to see. I don't have an horse in the race, but I like to see. I want to see an exciting game. Now, let me apologize to you for any noise you might hear in the background. There's some work going on, and therefore we hear a little drilling and you hear these things. It's unavoidable. My apologies to you. But let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're gonna go into some of these things. Um, Sissy, my brother, welcome, welcome. Hope you had a restful night.
Yes, very good night. I'm in the land of the living. Praise the Lord to do the Lord's work. Condolences to the relatives and family and friends of those who passed away that you mentioned. And I just received some information. I want to say congratulations to my friend Mr. Franklin Mingo and his wife Sharon, who celebrated a anniversary recently. And I know it from the inception when it started. I know the genesis. In those days, we didn't have the cell phone. So I was a messenger. And at times, maybe I was acting as WhatsApp. So congratulations to you, Frankie and Sharon. Continue to battle on.
Yeah, continue. I think I remember I saw it on social media, and I did send private message to them congratulating them on their wedding anniversary. Now let me move on, CC. We got a few things I want to bring. The first thing we want to inform persons about is that I think it's gonna some release. Police might give a release sometime soon if they have not done so as yet. But the police special branch Lance Corporal Christophe de Nabriga, that's the man who was charged with the killing, charged with murder concerning the killing of Quindon Bacchus. Remember that matter there, year before the last? Well, yesterday, he was committed to stand trial in the High Court for that murder. He was committed yesterday. The magistrate ruled that there was sufficient evidence presented in the magistrate court, and he has to now go to stand trial for murder. But let me say this to some people. I said this to someone last night. Justice demands that a certain process be gone through. The fact that he is committed to stand trial in the High Court shouldn't be any reason for people, the relatives and friends of the deceased, to celebrate. And I say this because we have seen in recent times many cases go to the High Court, and when it gets there, when the trial starts before the judge, at no case submission stage, these matters are thrown out. So the fact that he has been committed, which is a good thing, if you do the crime, you must serve the time. Um, but that is not any guarantee that he is going to be committed for this murder, because again, I say the DPP, the system now is that the depositions and all of these will go to the DPP, and the DPP is tasked with indicting. So I am almost certain the DPP is going to indict him for murder. Then he goes on a long list to get trial at the High Court. And based on past experience, a person charged with murder will have to wait like about 4 to 5 years on remand before that matter is finally determined. So now it's 2024, so we can look to see around 2027, 2028, or even longer than that before um, he is charged. And the next matter that I want to bring to attention, because I saw again that the security guard who killed that woman at this other security guard in Dazzle Housing Scheme. Remember, this is the man who went to his colleague and told the colleague that the supervisor said he must give him this AR rifle, and the other security handed over this rifle to him. He went to Dazzle Housing Scheme, killed the sister of his former girlfriend, and then they said he went back to another security guard, told him that he had problem with the rifle, that it was jammed, and asked him to clear the jam. The other security guard then left him with his AR, went outside apparently to claim, when he ordered shot, ordered knives around when he went to the sideline bleeding. But the man survived. The man survived. Apparently, he attempted to commit suicide. He survived, and he was recently charged with the murder of this young lady. So that is the news on those two. CC, the police, Christophe de Nabriga, committed to stand trial, and the security guard charged him more. What are your comments, my brother?
Well, apparently justice is working, but then, as you mentioned, it might take a long time before his matter is tried at the High Court. But things are moving. Perhaps the arms of justice is moving very slowly, but and as you mentioned also, not because a man is committed to the High Court means that he is guilty. We knew of quite a number of cases that just finished at an okay submission level.
Yeah, so this is the worrying thing. This matter goes to the DPP. DPP is supposed to review the file, reviews all the depositions and all the evidence, and make a decision to to indict him, which I'm sure she is likely to do. But let's watch and see. What you got to watch these things very, very closely. Welcome, Adi. Adi, a very loyal fan. Welcome, and all the others who have been joining since we started. Welcome, welcome to you all. Now, we spoke on this program. I have been saying repeatedly about all of these killings that we are hearing about, these drive-by shootings in Georgetown, in particular. This morning, I got word that two persons, two Guyanese, were gunned down in Suriname. Two Guyanese gunned down. Let me tell quickly. I said the gang war continues. You're talking about the death of Osric Brasilio and I think it's Jeremiah Smith. This occurred this morning in Suriname. According to the news coming out there, these two men were liming, they say, and some two men on moped motorcycle pull up and riddle them with bullets. Others, I understand, were injured as well. But to quickly to give you this boy, Brasilio, his brother, if you recall, on Christmas Eve day, he's the man who was killed when he returned suddenly from the interior or someplace, and his wife was reluctant to open the door because she had someone else there with her. She had another man. She had a lover there with her. He attempted, or he went in through some louver window he removed, and the lover killed him. So this deceased then is the brother of this one who died this morning. And I am saying to the people, saying to the authorities, I'm saying to the Home Affairs Minister, National Security Advisor Jerry Govaya, the extended squatter, and all of these people, Blanham, Major Crime Unit, Caesar, and all of these people. My information is that all of these killings are related. The killings and the attempted killings are related. We talk about the one on Christmas Eve day. We talk about Dreddy. We spoke about the attempt on Corlap. We spoke about the man who was killed only but a week or so ago, Rasputin, the man who was riddled with bullets somewhere, and he managed to, they said 12 shots he got, and he managed to escape. And now this morning in Suriname, these two, my information, reliable information, is that all of these killings are related. And we hope that you are going to do your work. The fact that these killings occurred in Suriname should not give you any comfort, because if they are related, it means that it's only a matter of time before similar incidents, more similar incidents occur in Guyana. So I'm passing this information on to you and hope that you're going to take the necessary action to deal with it. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to make his comments on that, and then we're going to move on. See, all of these killings, my brother, all of these killings.
I said before, but perhaps people don't understand what I'm saying, is that some of these killings, these crimes committed, you hear the person was a drug man, you hear he was a deportee, you hear he was involved in criminal offenses. So it's a dog whistle to the investigators. Don't forget about it. Don't do anything. Don't do no proper meticulous investigation, because it's a drug man kill a drug man, a criminal kill a criminal. What they've done, it is the death of a human being, and the killers will get in bold and they will continue to kill. They might even kill your own relatives or family. That those things got to be properly investigated. But when you're going to put out your dog with, oh, is a drug man involved, or is a criminal involved, or he used to do other things, you're telling the person, hey, don't do no proper investigation. Let the people kill out their matter. So it has gone international now. We're going to come back to Guyana.
Yeah. Our responsibility to make sure these things are properly investigated. and dealt with, properly investigated, to give comfort, apart from the justice part, to give comfort to the society at large that you are capable of investigating these dastardly acts. Now, to move on, we spoke last Monday, I almost said last week, but we spoke on Monday about this interdiction. You know, policeman, what your name? Let me make sure I get it right. 21674, Sigobin, charged same time thing last year and still on the job. The man walking, then interdict him. Eventually, they prepared an interdiction letter, and the letter says that he's interdicted from the 31st of June 2023. We showed it on Monday. I don't know that June get 31 days, but in the police calendar, in the calendar of the acting commissioner, the extended squad, apparently it's June as 31 days. So the man was interdicted there. My information that even though it is there up to now, that notice has not been served on him, and they don't know what to do. Well, let me advise you again, give you free advice. What has to be done? The fact that this incident occurred so long and the man passed through court since sometime last year and he has not been interdicted, you can't now interdict him retroactively. Let me understand this clearly. In other words, that letter that is dated the 31st of June 2023, a non-existent date, has to be cancelled, not only because of the non-existent date, because it has not been served. You have to cancel that and now interdict him from a current date. It's because if you're going to interdict him from June and he work in all of these months up to now, he work in, so how are you going to deal with pay that he has received where the notice says he should not receive? Because the notice is telling him, excuse me, that he's interdicted and placed on half pay. But the man is working and I'm sure he's receiving his full pay. So what you got to do now is to cancel that, rescind, to rescind. Just like how you had rescinded the decision to cancel the security firm license, rescind that interdiction letter and issue one from a new date. That is how that matter should be resolved. And the next thing, let me give you some free advice. Let me give you some more free advice. That when a person is interdicted and placed on half pay, which some schools of thought suggest is unconstitutional, because it is said that pay is property and you can't take away a man's property just like that. So even though a person is interdicted, the person should continue to receive his or her full salary. And the only thing that should lose during that period would be certain allowances. And the only allowance the person who is interdicted is entitled to is house allowance, no other. You can't get commuted overtime. You can't get no other allowance that you would normally get. You should not be getting those allowances once you are interdicted. The only allowance you can get is your house allowance. And as I've said, even with the half pay that they're talking about, people have argued. I know that is not, there's no law saying that the person should get half pay. No, there's no law in any law book saying that. It is an old practice which has never been challenged, and these things have to be challenged. Now that we find people are more litigious, they should challenge these things and let the courts make a decision. You can't take away a man's salary just like that and say place you on half pay pending the outcome of the charge. The school is that the person should continue to get their full pay, less allowances, except the house allowance. And again, I say, unless these lawyers, people got to take these things to court and let's get ruling on these things. We got to get ruling as to what is the correct thing, because they inherit, I'm not blaming the current administration, they inherit the practice and nobody has ever challenged it and nobody has ever sought to see whether there's any legal basis for that. And that is what has to be done. See this interdiction thing. See the interdiction. What I just made some comments about the interdiction of Sigabin. What are your views?
Yeah, I once heard that I can't remember who was the Solicitor General, and I think he was saying that you shouldn't put the man on no half pay. The man should get his own salary. But as you rightly mentioned, that you apart from house allowance, you shouldn't get any more allowance And the thing is, it bothered me, it boggles the mind that since June last year, and I'm talking about the 31st of June last year. Just last year, this man was interdicted. But the report circulating, the man saying, hey, I was the squatters intelligence man at TSU, and I get secret for him, and he can't interdict me. I don't know whether that is there's true who or not. And only that, remember the squatter was extended. He had an extended squatter. So perhaps in the letter that you wrote that he signed there, perhaps he used the extension there that he extended the month of June. He extended June by another date, maybe extension going on all along the place, Paul.
But he didn't extend the size of Guyana, he contracted seriously because he said Guyana is 83 square miles. So he's extended conveniently. Now let me move on. Somebody asked a question here about matters that an interdicted rank may have to go to court with an answer. Now, if you're interdicted, you're still compelled to go to court. You're interdicted, and you should be summoned to go to court to give evidence if you have matters there. And if you fail to turn up, then a warrant can be issued for your arrest, and you are taken to give evidence in the matter. Folks, again, I want to apologize to the background noise. It is unavoidable. People outside are doing their work. I can't prevent them from doing that. But yeah, if a rank is interdicted, even though they will say you're interdicted and your powers are taken away from you, if you have to go to court to give evidence, the correct thing is for that person to be summoned. Not no message, where you're sending a telephone message or a radio message. The person should be summoned to go to court. And if they fail to appear in court, then an application can be made to the magistrate for a warrant to be issued for the arrest of that person, compel them, to attend court to give the evidence. Now, the other thing that we spoke about in some great detail on Monday had to do with this powers to stop, search, and detain. And we said it clearly, unambiguously, according to the ruling of Justice Ramlal and according to other legal precedents, the police have no powers to stop, search, and detain arbitrarily. They have to be reasonable suspicion. You have to have reasonable suspicion before you can stop, search, and detain any aircraft, vessel, or vehicle. Now, I read section 18 on Monday. I'm not going to go back to it. But following the comments on Monday, there was a healthy debate in the comment section. One man started out the debate by saying that reasonable suspicion is subjective, and therefore he was suggesting, therefore, that the police can stop you. Well, it is not, and I came on and I told him, reasonable suspicion is not subjective. It has to be based on objective facts. So let me tell you, because I did the research, and let me tell you some of the definitions for reasonable suspicion. Black's Law Dictionary and all of them I went into. And it says reasonable suspicion, the first one, brief, and I'm praising it for you. Reasonable suspicion means that the officer can explain why a crime has likely occurred and point to reasons for that conclusion. For a detention to be valid, those reasons must be convincing to another person looking at the facts and conclusion at a later date. So one, they're saying for reasonable suspicion, the officer can explain why a crime has likely been committed. So there's no subjectivity in that, right? No subjectivity. The next one says here, reasonable suspicion means that any reasonable person would suspect that a crime was in the process of being committed, had been committed, or was going to be committed. Reasonable suspicion. Another one says, to establish reasonable suspicion, law enforcement officers must rely on concrete facts, not just suspicion or general hunches. These facts can be obtained through observations, information from informants, or other credible sources. Then the next one says to us that an objective, justifiable suspicion that a that is based on specific facts or circumstances, and that and justifies stopping and sometimes searching a person thought to be involved in a criminal activity at the time. Now, I hope that is cleared up. And I gave the example reasonable suspicion in relation to traffic stops. You see the man run through a red light, that gives you that you have a right, you can stop him. You see the man driving in a, let me say, zigzag in a dangerous manner, yeah, reasonable suspicion that either he's under the influence of drug or something, you can stop him. When it comes to crime, the thing is clear. Let me say a car passing and you see some men with ski masks in the car, you might have, you suspect that they have committed or about to commit a crime here. You're driving down the road, for example, you might see a vehicle without license plate. You have a right, you have a reasonable suspicion to stop. A vehicle, let's say a vehicle stop, you see blood dripping out of the vehicle, you hear noise coming from the vehicle, somebody bawling in the vehicle. Those things give rise to reasonable suspicion, and therefore you are within your right as a police officer to stop. But you can't just see a vehicle and randomly decide that you're going to stop the vehicle, and that is what takes place. That is what is taking place. And the law is clear. And again, I encourage police officers to read the judgment of Justice Ramlal in the case of lawyer as he was at the time, Navendra Singh, versus police officers, Benjamin and James, and the Attorney General. The judge then made it clear under what circumstances you can stop. You have to have reasonable suspicion, not just willy-nilly. You come and you're stopping, just like that. So let me bring in Mr. Conway to make his comment on that, and then we're going to move on to another issue that is related to this. Mr. Conway, reasonable suspicion, my brother.
Well, I always saying, or it is well established that you, the person who's going to do the search, has got to get reasonable suspicion that the, that anything stolen or unlawfully obtained is being conveyed there, or some person who has committed an indictable offense, or somebody is suspect of having conveyed in any manner anything stolen or unlawfully obtained. What caused you to reasonably suspect these things? What caused you to reasonably suspect? And that's the whole thing. It mustn't be no guesswork. It must be factual. And that's the whole thing, that what caused you to reasonably suspect, hey, thieving thing in the car, man who commits serious offense in the car, or persons in there conveying things stolen or unlawfully obtained? That is the question you got to answer. And based on that, you can carry out your so it depends on the thing.
Yeah, but this is a concept that is misunderstood in Ghana in particular. People stopping you just like that. They want to search you. Routine search. What is routine search? What is routine search? We had the infamous, I should say, interaction with a certain lawyer, the man Ryan F. Crawford, and the police. Got to stop him without any justification. And then they like to stop you and tell you, oh, well, with police, I have the authority. No, you don't have the authority to stop willy-nilly. You have to have reasonable suspicion. And I would expect that they will do some type of training to let the police know what is reasonable suspicion. These things require training. And unfortunately, ranks are leaving the training school. Ranks are going on patrol and they don't know. Look, in the last tape that we showed, is a sergeant of police, a sergeant telling the person that if he continues to video record him on his phone, that is a cyber crime. There is a sergeant telling the man that. We had one that I don't have the tape, but an officer, a gazetted officer, telling a man that he wants to profile him. These things are outrageous. Oh, where have we gone? You know, where have we gone? And nobody is teaching them. Nobody is telling them what is the correct thing. And that is the problem. Because, you know, they stop some people. And people are intimidated generally. Once the police stop you, people feel intimidated. So even though the stop might be unlawful, the people will consent. They pull them over. People say, search and so on. But it is wrong. You have to have reasonable suspicion that that person has committed, is about to commit a crime. That is the before you can stop and sort, before it can be legal. And I'm saying this to say that we have people now are running to the courts. People have become more litigious. And you continue to do that, people are going to take the police and the state to court, and they are going to win because the police are not trained. What is reasonable suspicion, as I said? And the suspicion must exist before the stop is made. You can't stop a man and then say, well, you see something looking suspicious in his car. The suspicion must be there before. That is what gave rise. The suspicion must be what gave rise to the stop. And to bring to bring to the next point here, and yes, somebody said reasonable articulable suspicion, something you can articulate. So for the guy who on Monday said that reasonable suspicion is subjective, and I interjected to say no, it is not. I hope that clarifies it for you, and it clarifies it for other police, well, not other, because he's not a police, for police ranks. What is reasonable suspicion? What is reasonable suspicion? Because if you don't understand that, you are going to be violating the constitutional rights of people. And people are going to take it to court, and they are going to win. Now, let me come into the next issue, and it's related, because I saw yesterday an advisory from the Guyana Police Force saying that there is now what they call Operation Eye in the Sky. And here what it says: the Guyana Police Force and the Guyana Defense Force have initiated a joint operation in Georgetown called Eye in the Sky on Tuesday, April 16, 2024. That is, this thing started yesterday. It goes on to say this operation involves the use of drones, which will be seen flying low in some areas. Which will be seen flying low in some areas. Members of the public are advised not to be alarmed. Eye in the Sky will run for 1 month. During this time, there will be an increased police presence, roadblocks, stop and search, traffic enforcement, roving patrols, and raids will be conducted. There will be motorcycle and bicycle campaigns, roadblock operations, cordon and searches, and the execution of warrants. Members of the public are asked to give full support and cooperation to the joint services. Now, right away, I see we run into the same problem that we tried to explain a while ago. They're going to be stop and search. Raids will be conducted. Folks, let me say this. I'm a law enforcement officer's art, and many of them who come and talk about it can't challenge my law enforcement credentials. Can't challenge my law enforcement credentials. I spent 37 years in the Guyana Police Force, walked my way from constable all the way to assistant commissioner. I was in operational positions for several years. And I know, I love the police force. The police force has made me what I am. What I don't like is the corruption, some of the elements in the force. They're bringing this force that many of us so love into disrepute daily. Daily, they're bringing the force into disrepute. And I am saying, therefore, that when we operate, or when you operate as a police, you have to operate within the confines of the law. Many times we feel, I used to feel the same way, that the law is too restrictive and it does not allow us to do what is necessary to curb crimes and all of that. But the law is the law. And I remember telling some recruits at one stage, you cannot break the law to enforce the law. The law is what it is. If the law is too restrictive, if the law doesn't provide for certain things to happen, you have to lobby for changes to be made. But you can't go breaking the law. And I anticipate that this, what they brought out here, to tell you that they're going to be roadblocks, stop and search. So you're going to stop and search randomly. That is what they're saying, basically. We're going to stop and search randomly. We're going to stop and search randomly. And the GDF is involved here. And I want to ask a question, because they say this is an operation in Georgetown. So it would appear that it's only Georgetown crimes are being committed. I want to ask, is this a response to the spiraling crime that you have been denying is taking place? You know, the police and the government have denied that there's an increase in crime. They come with all sorts of bogus and fictitious figure to tell you that crimes are down and crimes are down. Yet still we see now they have eye in the sky. And remember, this is coming at a time when there's an increase. I talk about all these they're not extrajudicial, all of these drive-by shootings. You understand? Drive-by shootings. So I don't know if this is a response to that. But the fact that this is a joint operation between the Guyana Defense Force and the Guyana Police Force is some cause for concern about citizens' fundamental and constitutional rights. Because as far as I'm aware, there is no state of emergency. They have not declared any limited or otherwise state of emergency. And therefore, persons or people's constitutional rights have not been suspended. And therefore, you have no authority to just randomly stop and search people. But when I talk about these things, I hope that these lawyers who are, I know lots of lawyers listen and so on, that they will take these things up and challenge. And this is not being, let me understand, I've said it clearly, this is not being anti-police. This is not being supportive of crime. This is supportive of what is there is in the Constitution. This is supportive of law and order and the rule of law. You can't just decide to go randomly stopping people and searching them and you're telling people to cooperate. Yes, people must cooperate with the police. I will implore people to cooperate with the police. But then the police have to act within the confines of the law. That's the only way you're going to get cooperation. But if you pull over a man just so he ain't do nothing, there's no reason to suspect that he has done anything. All because you have on the uniform or you have big guns. People are going to resist. They're not going to resist violently necessarily, but they're going to build up an attitude against the police. And this is what we have to guard against. So these things that they come out and they tell you about raids and roadblocks, because what's going to happen? I predict that when you talk about raids and conducted and so on, usual suspects, they are going to go after the usual suspects. And the question is, why only in Georgetown? Do you have information that suggests that these crimes are only being committed in Georgetown? Why only 1 month? Why only 1 month? Suppose somebody said to me last night, all you're telling the criminals then lie low for this month or go out to Georgetown, because this exercise that they talk about, the operation rather, Operation Eye in the Sky, is for 1 month and it's for only in Georgetown. So a lot of things, people, I don't know who, the ones who come up with this idea, but the fact that the GDF is involved, I believe that this decision is taken at a very high level, because there's no way I can see the GDF getting involved in this operation or in the sky without being so directed by senior people. Let me bring in Mr. Conway for him to have his say on this. Because Mr. Conway, you said this eye in the sky is directly related to the subject we were dealing with, for the powers to stop, search, and detain. And I'm saying that unless the Constitution or aspects of the Constitution have been suspended, then you can't be violating people's rights like that. What are your views, my brother?
I was amazed when I read about Operation Eye in the Sky. And I just think they didn't tell you the real objective or the aim, what they hope to achieve. And we got to be careful. They're using drones, and maybe they might very well invade on persons' privacy, might very well invade on persons' privacy. And then what about intelligence? Is the intelligence working? They mentioned about raids and roadblocks. And when we talk about raids, you're gonna hear they just run in a person place and search without no search warrant signed by a magistrate or a justice of the peace. When they have these operations, then is when they would violate persons' human rights. I remember reading about the zero tolerance concept that William Bratton and Mayor Giuliani had in the States. Yes, crime went down drastically, but they violated more persons' human rights than any other thing. The government paid out more money in litigation than anything else. So they gotta be careful, very, very careful. And then what happened with boots on the ground? Isn't boots on the ground and working? Yeah? You're going for drones and you're going for roadblocks. And let me read what the law said about roadblocks, road barriers. Section 26 of the Police Act. Say, notwithstanding any other act, any officer, inspector, or subordinate officer may, if he considers it necessary to do so, for the maintenance and preservation of law and order, or for the prevention and detection of crime, erect or place or cause to be erected or place barriers in or across any road or street or in any public place within Guyana in such a manner as he thinks fit. Up on the words there is not a constable, subordinate officer, inspector, or officer, and it's for the maintenance and preservation of law and order or for the prevention and detection of crime. That's what the law says. And they gotta stick to the law. So when they're talking about raids and roadblocks and all kind of thing and the and using drones, they might be very well be invading people's privacy by using those drones, So and then why Georgetown? Why only Georgetown? And then is it they're telling us, hey, that crime is high, that crime started to get frightening, that the fear of crime is there, that they got to bring in the army. The police alone can't do. They got to bring in the army. Is getting in a state of emergency. I don't know. It's just is this a knee jerk reaction? Something and song right there, and then just overnight, and then there's no nothing saying giving us some assurance. Well, why are you doing this thing? What is the objective? What is the aim of doing this thing? No, we can get raids, we can get roadblocks, we can get all kind of thing, we can get drones and all kind of thing. That we can get I suppose I didn't hear the word that we have robust law enforcement. They got to do much better than what they've been doing to assure the public that they're doing the correct thing.
Yeah, I agree. Because again, I say, these comments are not to say that something should not be done to curb the crime, this high crime rate, because they themselves, I mean, it's contradictory because they will tell you that the crime is under control. That is what from the president right down, they're singing that, oh, we are under control. You don't hear, we can't say that Ropes been telling you anything because the Minister of Bonville is silent. But what we just hear about this Operation Eye in the Sky seems to suggest that they have come to realize what we've been saying all the time, that crime is out of control. That crimes are out. Not only one crime, crimes are out of control. And this seemed to be a knee-jerk reaction to dealing with it. And you're not hearing anything from the man who they have there as the Commissioner of Police acting. The president is clearly satisfied with his performance because when he reached retirement age, the president kept him on. So maybe he can keep him on until June the 31st next year or sometime, or maybe until December the 35th this year. Maybe all of that is going to happen. But recently I saw a letter from the Commissioner of Police of Barbados. His name is Richard Boyce. And it is captioned, "Uptick in recent robberies." And let me read what Mr. Boyce, the Commissioner of Police in Barbados, said. Over the past week, the Barbados Police Service has noticed an uptick in incidents involving cases of aggravated burglaries and robberies by persons who were in possession of firearms. These offenses resulted in the culprits stealing sums of cash from business establishments located mainly in the southern part of the country. The police service has been carrying out extensive investigations into these matters, and significant progress has been made in arresting a number of perpetrators who are involved in planning and committing these offenses. Our interventions have also resulted in the seizure of 5 firearms and ammunition from these perpetrators. We are focused and resolute in continuing our investigations into these matters and also deploying our resources in the prevention of any fallout in the management of similar incidents. We wish to assure the public that we are confident in our strategies, which have been implemented to deal with the recent uptick in crime. We encourage all law-abiding citizens to continue their partnership with us and assist us in keeping our country safe. Let us unite against criminal elements. That is a statement from the Commissioner of Police in Barbados. And all I can say when I read that, that is the way one would expect a competent and professional commissioner of police to react to the situation that they are experiencing or they experience in Barbados. But we have a situation where we have a commissioner silent. The acting commissioner is silent. They don't tell the public anything. You have the corporate propaganda unit comes out with a lot of crap from time to time. That is what you're having. But if you are faced with a situation, one has to have the confidence in the system and the police force, and the police force, the leadership of the police force have to come interact with the media and let people know what is going on. But they hide from behind some desk, they issue some stupid statement, and then they tell you about Operation Eye in the Sky, and then they want people to cooperate. You saw how the Barbados commissioner handled the matter? He came out with a statement. He came out. He said what has happened. He told them what they intend to do, and he asked for the cooperation of the people. And remember, this is not the Barbados police force is not a politicized police force. It's an independent organization. So when you're going to ask, as they have done in this operation, Eye in the Sky, for the cooperation of the public and so on, people are going to be reluctant. These things cannot be a one-off thing. People got to be reluctant. The cooperation is going to be based on people's experience, how you have been dealing with them over a period of time. So let's look to see where this operation will go. Let me look and see where this operation will go. Mr. Conway, your views on the statement from the Barbados Commission, any other statement, any other response in respect to this matter?
I love the statement of the Barbados Commissioner of Police. For the matter, I stored it for future reference. And that's what you will expect it from a commissioner. Very statesmanlike. And I expected, before the talk about the eye in the sky, or what was everyone thing, come out with a proper statement. Let the general public know what is it you're doing. Let us know what is the aim. Let us know what is the objective. They're talking about partnership and they want the people to support them. But you can't support things that you know about. You can't support things when you don't understand the concept, when things are confusing. And you can't support it when the impression is, hey, they're going to hassle people, that they're going to have robust law enforcement, and they're going to infringe on people's human rights. So excellent statement from the Barbados Commissioner of Police, and nothing from the extended squad too. So I don't know where they're getting support from. No way. It's not going to come. I don't want to sound negative, but it's mind-boggling that what really the police are going to do. Infringe on the human rights of our citizens.
But not only what in response to this is not only what the members of the public, but I believe many members of the force are not going to be wholeheartedly into this thing. When you have to make sure that your people are convinced that it is the right way to do. You can't bully people, intimidate them, and expect you're going to get the best from them. So let's wait and see what I can anticipate. Again, like my colleague, excuse me, I don't want to sound negative, but based on how this statement is released and what they plan to do, I can see people's rights, constitutional rights, being violated. And I hope that these lawyers are standing by to deal with this matter. Yeah, crime spiraling, but you have to use constitutional and legal measures to deal with it. Let me make that clear. You have to deal with it within the confines of the law and the Constitution. And when we say that, we are not being anti-police, we're not being pro-criminals. We, both of us, years and years, fighting against crime, fighting against criminals, and we continue to do so. But we have to do so in a legal manner, because these things are going to come back to haunt you. If you violate persons' rights, it's not only you run into a home, let's say, to carry out a search, kick down people's door, barge into the police. It's not only those spouses who are directly affected are going to be against you, but the neighbors and family members and all sorts of people. And in these days of the camera phone and social media, I can anticipate you're going to see a lot of video clips circulating on social media with them acting inappropriately. So I hope they take all of those things into consideration. You can't just run into a person's home, as Mr. Conway said. Bomb the search warrant, you're going to get warrants to go, cordon and search. And yeah, well, you're going to go into a man's home and search. People get rights. The Constitution, as far as I'm aware, has not been suspended. It is not a declaration of a state of emergency. You know, like in Jamaica, for example, from time to time, they declare state of emergencies in certain parishes when crimes are out of control. And that is the way to do, because once you declare a state of emergency, then the police get additional powers and the army gets certain powers and so on. But to just like that decide that the army is going to be involved in this operation without the declaration of a state of emergency, something seems wrong. Because the army only has the authority to come to the aid of the police. And somebody asked the question, what will be the role of the army? Now, from a legal perspective, the army can only be there to support the police, stand in the background. They can't be proactive in anything. Anytime they attempt to do that, it's unconstitutional, it's illegal. They have to support, they're there to support the police. So and the police have to be in charge. So even if a colonel from the army is there at the roadblock, and a corporal or a sergeant of the police, the sergeant is in charge of that operation. So let me understand it clearly. Let's understand it very, very clearly. And again, I would wish that the younger policemen, and well, even the older one, the officers, will learn, go read, research. We normally say, don't take whatever we say for granted. So we point you to the direction where you could find information to support the claims or the contentions that we have made on this program. But let me move on. Everett and them asking if we are going to deal with this police promotion thing. Let me say this. We were to deal with it on Monday, and we promised to deal with it today, and I'm going to start now. What is he talking about? Or what are we talking about? There's a article on April the 13th, 2024, Stabrook News article, and it says police force transitions from promotional exam to core courses. And hear what it says. Not a long letter, so I'll read it to you. The Ghana Police Force has disclosed that as part of its efforts to modernize the institution, it will be changing its approach to promotions. As such, it is currently offering core courses as an alternative to traditional promotional exams, aiming to enhance the skills and knowledge base of its members, a Guyana Police Force release stated on Tuesday. It explained that among the newly introduced courses is a final training for constables aimed to provide comprehensive training and equip constables with enhanced capabilities for more effective policing. Successful completion of this course renders constable eligible for promotion to the rank of Lance Corporal. It goes on to say, additionally, the Guyana Police Force has introduced junior officers course 1 and 2, tailored for Lance Corporals and Corporals respectively. These courses are aimed to further develop the leadership and managerial skills of junior officers within the ranks. Upon the successful completion of these courses, ranks will be entitled for promotion to full corporal and sergeant. In a recent interview with Radio Ivleri, Superintendent Sonia Arbor unveiled a significant shift in the Ghana Police Force's approach to promotion. She emphasized the importance of continuous learning and professional development within the police force, while highlighting the organization's commitment to ensuring all members are certified, indicating a significant step towards raising the standards of policing in Guyana. And then next part says, looking ahead, she revealed an ambitious plan to launch diploma and degree programs through the academy. This initiative underscores the force's commitment to providing opportunities for higher education and career advancement within the organization. She further urged policemen and women to seize every opportunity for personal and professional growth, emphasizing that sky is the limit for those who aspire to excel in their careers. With, with these transformative changes, the Ghana Police Force is poised to enhance its effectiveness and professionalism in transforming from a Ghana Police Force to a Ghana Police Service, the release stated. Now, we said a lot there. Mr. Conway was a man involved in training for a number of years. Mr. Conway was, we know that he was the expert in the force at that time on training. So much so that when he reached the age of retirement, he was made to stay on to assist in training police. He was even, and I'm giving an introduction here because at some stage he was even seconded to the Jamaican Police Constabulary training to do training there for policemen, the regional policemen. So I think Mr. Conway is very qualified to comment on the statement issued by the police. I have some things to say too, but let me allow CC to come in at this stage and let me know what are your views about this doing away with promotion examinations and these core courses that they're talking about. Over to you, my brother.
I have a lot to say, so I'm gonna take a lot of the batting, like playing at border, where you could battle all day, and I'm gonna jockey the bowling ball. Well, let me talk first with training, yeah, and I will deal with the core courses and the examinations. I remember when the government had gotten a loan from the IDB, and they had a citizen security program. It had several components, and one was a way called a 1-year comprehensive training program, where the emergence group, a group from Washington, won the bid to do a 1-year comprehensive training program for the Guyana Police Force. And I was selected, or I was appointed to head that program in Guyana. So I work along with those persons, and we did extensive work. We did job task analysis. We did extended interviews, and we came up with 29 training programs for senior officers right down to constables. After 1 year, we conceptualized, we designed, we developed, and we implemented 29 training programs. And let me tell you some of the programs, like effectively dealing with people, effective investigation, crime scene management, interviewing complainants and witnesses, interrogating suspect, policing, and this one was critical, multicultural and diverse society, anger management, and a whole list. Government spent millions of US dollars on this citizen security program. The idea was that at the end of the program, we need to sustain it, that we need to replicate those training programs. And was like, instead of we sending the police to America, we brought America to Guyana. Excellent training program. We got high marks. Clement, we take a lot of praise for that 1-year comprehensive training program. So after that 1 year was completed, I continue with it, the training. I demitted office, and Paul Williams, who was one assistant commissioner, who was then an assistant commissioner, now Dr. Paul Williams, deputy commissioner. He took over the program and he continued it. Sustainability, I think there's a word that the police don't ever use now. There's a word that is not in their vocabulary. And he continued the training program, and then he became the force training officer. And he must throw away those training programs, those 29 training programs. We had training manual, we had trainers manual, we had everything right there for them. And Hicken did not sustain that program. Instead, what he did, he got somebody from somewhere And they brought, and I have them here, 4 training programs that he called core courses. I'm going to deal with 2 of them, core courses. He asked me to review them. And when I run them through, I tell you, I say, they say trash. That persons or persons who did those programs don't know anything about training. They don't know anything about career development. They don't know what is going on in the Ghana police force. They did no job task analysis so that to identify training needs. And I tell them, hey, them things gone to the should go to the rubbish bin. But I did not show them in the rubbish bin. They are searching after I heard about this core programs. I searched my library and I found them. And let me tell you about this core course for constables, which I said would be part of the they were done away with the promotion exam and use core courses. The cover is nice, excellent cover. But I said don't judge a book by its cover. And now they also they had core courses constable. Imagine there's a core course for constable and I get core courses for constable. The English in this program is rotten. And here the aim. The course is intended to teach lance corporals and corporals new skills that are relevant to their current job position or refreshing the skills that they already possess. It will further build capacity and equip the participants with the knowledge needed to effectively and efficiently to work efficiently and effectively at the next step. This is a course for a constable, and the course is intended to teach lance corporal and corporals. You're doing for constables, and then it's intended to teach lance corporals and 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 and, cons- and corporals. And the course has 4 components. One, yeah, four components. One, they talk about crime and policing. 2, technology. And 3, regulation and ethics. And here was the one that dealing with the first one dealing with language and communication. And here's what they're going to teach, Paul. They're going to teach English, Spanish, Portuguese, French, Mandarin, Chinese, and sign language. The course doesn't have any duration. Perhaps it might last for a couple years, as the case may be. And that's what they're teaching. The other one, crime and policing, they put some string up some police subjects together. Technology, a little bit of information technology, and regulation and ethics. There's nothing in the program saying how you would assess the participants. Are you going to give them, as what they're doing now, are you going to give them examination based on cramming? Or are you going to give them essay type or things to show that they internalize and conceptualize or understand, they understand the training? There's nothing here in this program saying how you do evaluation. If you don't evaluate, you don't know whether or not you're winning or losing the game. And there's nothing about evaluation. And let me give them some advice about in terms of evaluation. I'm not going to charge them because if I charge them, they're gonna make me presidential. They're gonna give me 18 other charges. Remember I had one before, so I'm getting 19 charges and I'm going to turn presidential. So the evaluation they should use Kirkpatrick model of training evaluation, and it has 4 levels. You look at the reaction, you look at learning, you look at behavior, and you look at results. And the reaction is the participant's perception of the training. Learning the focus of knowledge and skills, behavior, knowledge and skills applied on the job after training, and the results. Did you have return of investment? What happened after they finished training? Did you check and see whether there were benefits for the individual, benefits for the supervisors, benefits for the force of run? And in this training program here, Paul, there's nothing in this training program to deal with behavior. Nothing at all to deal with behavior. And behavior is a major thing that the police has got to deal with. Because behavior, they have to deal with the behavior of the persons above them, the peers, if they are supervised the person below them, behavior of members of the public, behavior of the criminal, behavior of the family, and behavior of and their own behavior. That this program is just a couple of subjects string together and nothing to adjust behavior, which is a major phenomenon that the police do. Because if you want police to really adjust behavior, you want them to form community policing group. You want them to do station management. You want them to do have regional intelligence committee. You want them to do interland intel. You want them to use youth clubs. You want them to involve in flavor the dance. You want them to involve in farmers market. I know you have eye on the sky. It's all about behavior. Policing is about behavior. And we every day we see clips with behavior, unacceptable behavior by members of the force. So if you're doing a training program, preparing them for that level, and they're preparing them for supervisory level, and nothing about supervision, and nothing about leadership, how this course is going to work? How is going to work? It can't work at all. And then when you look at the one for subordinate officers, lance corporals and corporals, let me give you the objectives. Here are the objectives: to expose lance corporals and corporals to police and other related studies relevant to their development of the organization, to enhance efficiency and effectiveness of the Ghana Police Force, to prepare ranks for the succession plan of the Ghana Police Force. There's no succession plan in the Ghana Police Force. And for the matter, there's no career development plan in the Ghana Police Force. If you're going to get succession plan, you got to get career development. But this course is preparing them for the succession plan, to increase motivation and engagement, reduce employment turnover, to stimulate professionalism. So if the objectives are wrong, everything else will go wrong. You can't achieve anything. So I don't know where he can get this program from, but he's now resurrected them and putting them in the place of the exam. And let me talk about the examinations, because when Larry Lewis was commissioner, he thought that the exam that we were conducted, we had an exam to be promoted from constable to corporal, and then from sergeant to inspector, and then officer level. And he thought that the exam was really designed more in favor of ranks of the general duty section. That's where all the questions coming from the general duty section. And the specialists were neglected. So the task was mine and Assistant Commissioner David George to come up with a new promotion policy. And what we did, we looked at the specialist area, like the CID, like the finance office, like the quartermaster store, like the marine section, like the presidential guard, like the TSU, like the prime minister guard, and other areas which we consider specialists. And they had specialist exam for them, those persons who were in the specialized section of the police force, to write the constable to corporal exam. We had specialist exam for them, apart from the general duty. And also for you to be promoted to inspector. But at the officer level, we say that an officer must be an all-rounder and everybody must do the same exam. So they're doing away with that, and they're doing a program that doesn't have any bearing on the development of the people. An exam that they don't know, but the methodology not there. How are you going to train? What is methodology you're going to use? It's not there. Are you going to do things like, or are you going to share chalk and talk? Things like simulation exercises, things like case studies, and all other different kind of methodology. That's not in the training program. So the training program is basically chalk and talk. It cannot be effective. These programs that they get core programs, they should be scrapped, thrown in the waste paper bin, and done away with. Somebody has to sit down. If you're talking about core programs, and core programs mustn't replace no examination. what you got to do for developed people is that way it's called like the rite of passage, like what the army does. That you prepare that before a man reach certain rank in the police force, he has to go through several different courses. And then again, to when you look at it, who is the force trainer officer? And I have nothing personal. We had a woman that spent was about 5 years in Russia doing forensic science, qualified as in forensic science, and she's now the force training officer. No experience whatsoever in training, nothing whatsoever, and she's a force training officer. Instead of getting her to go to those scenes, those drive-by shooting, and all those scenes where you cannot detect crime and see whatever forensic she could pick up to link somebody thing there, they get she lock away in an office as a force training officer. Therefore, training can't think. And to end up on saying they're treating training like a unmarried, unwanted, pregnant stepdaughter. And let me close off here for the while.
Lot of button. A lot of button. Now you are so correct. You know that course that you talk about that it can send to you. I know, remember, I get copies too. You know, I have electronic copies because they were sent to me as well for comment. Like you, when I look at these things, I said, this is a headache, but because this thing ain't making sense. I just left it at that, but I still have it in electrical form. Now, let me say this. Coming back to this letter. The first thing they say, it explained among the newly introduced course is the final training for constables. That is not a new course. A matter of fact, if you check the Police Act, it speaks about that. Final training for constables, because let me tell you that when you join the police force for the first 2 years, you're deemed to be a probationer. You spend whatever period of time you spend in training school. In my case, I spent 6 months. In our case, at which time you go out. You're not a full police, you are a probationer. When I say not a full police, you have the powers, but you're referred to in the system as a probationer. At the end of that period, that probationary period, which is at the end of the 2 years, you're brought back to the training school for what they call the final training. That used to be routine, standard. And out of that, you got the best student. They were presented with a baton of honor. The best students. The best student is presented from that course with a baton of honor. So this, it sees sometime now. But for them to say that they're going to introduce, not reintroduce, they're saying they're going to introduce courses. One of the newly courses they're going to introduce is the final training. That is being disingenuous. They add final training course and for probationers, and that was so. And then it says successful completion of this course renders constable eligible for promoting to the rank of Lance Corporal. I have a problem with that too. Lance Corporal and Corporal, they always ask, what is the difference in assignment, in duties between a Lance Corporal and a Corporal? Nothing. There's no difference, right? And let me move on. They say, additionally, the Ghana Police Force introduced the Junior Officers Course 1 and 2, tailored for Lance Corporal and Full Corporal, respectively. Since when a Lance Corporal and a Full Corporal is a junior officer? And for our colleagues here, let me tell you, you have constables, you have subordinate officers. Constables are constables, we know. Subordinate officers are, junior subordinate officers, Lance Corporal, Corporals. Then we have senior subordinate officers, Sergeant, Inspectors, and Chief Inspector. Then you have junior officers, Cadet Officer, Assistant Superintendent, Deputy Superintendent. They are junior officers. Then you have senior officers from superintendent all up to the commissioner. So for them to now tell me that Lance Corporal and Corporals are junior officers, I don't know where they're going. I don't know where they're going. Then it goes on to say these courses are aimed to further developing the leadership and managerial skill of junior officers within the ranks. I don't know that even at Lance Corporal level and Corporal level, you will deal with managerial skills. Those are skills, you have to talk about cuts and cans. I know they're not familiar with that. About the 3 type of skills you have. I can go into it with them. Something they got to go and pay to learn. Something they got to pay to learn. I remember Sammy Small used to teach us cuts and cans. Those are the authors. and they talk about the 3 skills that you need to have. Let me move on. And then they say, upon the successful completion of this course, ranks will be entitled, that's the word I use. Ranks will be entitled for promotion to full corporal and sergeant. So I know, since when people are entitled to promotion? Since when? This is sheer rubbish that they're talking about here. So therefore, once a rank comes out from these courses, you say that they are entitled. What? Are you not going to take into consideration other aspects of the person's aptitude, the person's the way he interacts with the members of the public, whether the person is a downright damn criminal, whether he's corrupt? You're not going to take those things into consideration. Person goes on a course, and we have always had that. People who are considered to be bright, so they can go take an examination and cram and pass the examination. But then you have so many other things. And one of the things that I have always said, and this is a mistake that they make all the time, that when you're going to talk about promoting a rank, most times the mistake they make, they talk about how good a constable or how good a corporal that person is. Fine. He's a good constable, he's a good corporal, he's a good officer at whatever level. Good. The question to be asked, and that is what used to be asked long ago, is he capable, he or she, of performing at the higher level? Because if a person is an inspector, you're going to now promote them to officer rank. He might be a good inspector, excellent inspector. But when you go to the other rank now, you have additional responsibilities. And the question to be asked and answered is whether that person is capable of performing at the higher level. And if that answer is no, then no matter how good that person is as a constable or a corporal or an inspector, the person got to remain there. That person must remain there, because other than that, you're going to promote the person to a level that they can't function in. And you have so many so many examples of that going around now. And let me say this further. I made some notes here. Let me refer to my notes. I like make my notes. Yes, sir. Well, again, ranks is pending this matter. Well, that has gone. So I'm saying now that this change with the talking promotion is not something to come. It has already happened, because they don't take into consideration disciplinary matters. You have several persons in the last promotion they made, including Brutus, Shipasad Bacchus, Stanley. All of those persons have disciplinary matters. So those things are no longer to be considered. I know that when Brutus took the matter to the court, challenging this promotion that was not made, one of the things the Chief Justice made quite clear in that ruling is that the commission that I chaired was well in order to take disciplinary matters into consideration in determining whether a rank should be denied promotion. The Chief Justice is the court, I court said so. But that has gone through the window. You get several examples. Prem Ryan, disciplinary matters promoted from inspector to superintendent. So yeah, it has changed. More, you get Jack Ryan, 3 promotions to corporal, inspector, ASP. I don't think he had disciplinary matters, but the point is that they just promoting people just like that willy-nilly. You have at the same time, you get people. There's a matter people complain to me about, where a constable is promoted to an assistant superintendent on probation. And when questions were asked, they say, well, this man get a degree. But people say you have a lot of people, sergeants, corporal, other constables with more service and experience who have degrees too from the University of Guyana, and they were overlooked for promotion. So this whole thing about promotion is who decide at the Police Service Commission in Rob Street and the Police Service Commission in Brickdam. They decide who are to be promoted, and the people are promoted based on what they decide. What you remember, and I like to point out, because people believe you're talking, is a case of Courtney Ramsey, a senior superintendent of police, very experienced and knowledgeable, who was recommended by the force administration to be promoted to assistant commissioner. It went to the Police Service Commission. They did the deliberations. There's a commission before the commission I chaired, and agreed and promoted him to assistant commissioner. And when it went to one of those offices that I referred to earlier, they took out his name and put in other people's name. The man went to court and challenged the thing and won. When confronted with the facts, the state, as represented by the Attorney General Chuckin, conceded that the commission was wrong in doing what they did. Well, they blame the commission, and they rightly so. But we know where the decision to remove his name came from. And then what they said, oh, the reason why they did not promote him because he was close to retirement. The man produced evidence to show that there were two senior superintendents who were on pre-retirement leave at the time they were promoted to assistant commissioner. I think that forced them to choke. So you have all of these egregious things. And again, to go on, you have cases where, as I said, there's a case Mr. Conway referred to of a female rank who, I think not even a year's service or something like that, promoted to corporal or some rank. All because she's said to be related, that is the allegation. She's related to a senior officer, promoted ahead against other people in the same department, more experienced and competent than her. Those things, and when you talk, you get the people who, the sycophants going to come and tell you you're attacking the force and you're demoralizing the force. We are speaking the truth. We are speaking the truth. We have evidence to support what we are saying. And then this thing talk about entitlement. And the question is being asked here, how is it that a person can be entitled to promotion? I don't know. You have to ask those people actually who have made this policy that people are now entitled to promotion. And Mr. Question asks the question about how are they going to be assessed and so on. But even more than that, if you're doing away with promotion exams, as we call them, the appropriate qualifying examination, are they going to put them on this course to teach them core courses? What about the selection process? I can see there they're going to put their friends and their cronies on this course and then use that as a justification to promote them ahead of more competent and deserving ranks. So this thing is fraught with all kind of trouble and dangers. And when you see this, it's going to work to demotivate more people. Because I am saying this and I dare them to challenge me. If they want produce figures to prove otherwise. The force is at its lowest ever. The report is that what? About 400 to 500 persons in the past couple of years have retired, resigned, and just walk off the job. 400 to 500, that is what is being said. Walk off. If they're saying it's not so, then bring the evidence. Because remember, not so long ago, the acting commissioner, I think it was in March, when they had the police officers conference, he said to the nation that they have a problem, the Ghana police have a problem in attracting and retaining ranks. He said so. People are staying in the job, people just moving on. And not only because of the remuneration which the administration of the force has no control over, but it's the behavior of the attitude of some of the senior people to these people. So you talk, oh, you're rude, you're insubordinate, transfer you. And the TSU is still a dumping ground. Transfer you to the TSU, transfer you to somewhere. But once you talk. And many times, all the people are telling you what is the correct thing. So you have a situation too where the senior officer attempts to launder money through the police credit union, and the ranks there who know the rules decide, well, this thing can't happen, so transfer, unjustifiable transfer. And that is what is going on. So, I had to address our next issue. I don't know if you're going to get time, but I'm going to allude to it at the end of the program. And that is what we have. So this thing what they're talking about doing away with promotion examination, people should be extremely, extremely wary about that decision. That is designed to make sure that certain people are denied promotion and certain people are going to be favored with promotion, whether they are competent, whether they are capable or not. You have that. It is the force now in all the divisions. You have that in abundance from the commanders level and down to other levels as well. You have people who are in command and get a clue. NFC. The N is no, the C is clue. You determine what the F is. They have NFC. No clue. None whatsoever. and you have a minister of home affairs, so he too is the same place, that should send him a transport because he's a sailor. He is sailing, and when you're sailing, you got to be dealing with ships and boats and all those type of things. Yet home affairs, I don't know what he's doing there. But things running out of hand, and you don't hear anything from him. And when he ventures to speak, he talks a lot of nonsense, a lot of rubbish. Like when he said that if you have an illegal firearm, you should put it in a bag and throw it in the yard. That is what he said. He went to the fire scene in Parade Street, he berating the senior fire officers, telling them they must instruct the fire officers to put their rose at the source of the fire. That is what he's saying. So a lot of stupid statements he is making. So in this case, I think, well, in both he and the acting commissioner, the extended squatters case, I think they do themselves good when they shut them out, because every time they open them out, it reminds us of the saying that was attributed to, I think, Abraham Lincoln, that it's better you keep your mouth shut and let people believe that you're stupid than to open your mouth and to remove all doubts. So that is what they should be doing. Mr. Conway, anything else on this? We want to move on. Anything else you have on this training thing? We can always revisit it at another time, because I think there's more to talk about. But let me hear you.
All right, let me just summarize a bit. There's so much more I can talk about, but these core courses, we're talking for constables to corporal and corporals to sergeants. And they have 4 modules: language and communication, crime and policing, technology, maybe they talk about information technology, regulation and ethics. And believe it or not, the same modules that they have for the constables, the same modules that they have for the subordinate officers. In the language and communication, the same thing they have: English, Spanish, Portuguese, French, Mandarin, Chinese, sign language. The same thing they got. And these courses, and I checked the other rest for the inspectors and officers, and they, they, they're not addressing behavior. And let me read a quote that some persons wrote in 1973, but I think it's still more relevant now and relevant to the Ghana Police Force. It's Russell and Bigel. Here it is. The importance of understanding behavior in the training of a professional policeman is indisputable. Behavior is a major phenomenon that the police officer must deal with, not only the behavior of criminals, but also in the behavior of the general public, the behavior of his family, and his own behavior. He can no longer regard the study of behavior as the sole concern of the psychologists and psychiatrists. He must learn more about the behavioral science, in order to effectively carry out his job. And let me give them some advice. Maybe they can look at UNESCO's imperative for learning. UNESCO's imperative for learning. And it has 4 components: learn to live together, learn to be, learn to do, and learn to learn. And the Caribbean heads of government had, had adopted this UNESCO's imperative for learning. Let me go for learn to live together, learn to be, learn to do, and learn to learn. And it's saying that some of the things coming out of that is that they must do communication, conflict resolution. There must be cultural sensitivity, self-esteem, emotional intelligence, cultural awareness, critical thinking skills, capacity to act, ability to apply knowledge. That all these things must be embedded in the members of the Ghana Police Force at all levels. That behavior must be addressed from top to bottom. And if they don't really address behavior and they can address it through training, we will continue to get behavior, unacceptable behavior. So if you're doing the training, you need to look at behavior. There's a saying that technical skills, there's the laws and the police practice and procedure used to be most important. But now, and in the years to come, what I call people skills are most important. that we want the police to do all kind of things. We want them to be community oriented. We want them to deal with the community, to do all kind of thing. But we're not giving them people skill. It's people they got to deal with. And you watch out what's gonna happen with this thing on his eye in the sky. Watch out what's gonna happen. Because they are not addressing behavior. Therefore, we'll have unacceptable behavior. And to repeat myself, the four core cases that the extended squatter has now implemented needs to be tear up and throw in the trash. Somebody needs to look at training and look at training critically. And I'm saying they have a good starting point. Get back to the tech program, the 29 training program that the government spent millions and millions and millions of dollars for them to be replicated. They get hard copy, they get soft copy, they get electronic copy. If they want, I'm not going to charge them. I have copies because I was part of it. I was the main person responsible in Guyana for those 29 training programs, and I have my copy. I if they want to plagiarize, I would allow them to do that, and I would charge them anything. But I have copies available that I can make them because I want to see the police force do well, and training is critical to the Guyana police force. And shower them core courses, dash them in the waste paper basket. Let them be part of the cleanup campaign.
Yeah, dash them in the waste paper basket, and then I'm gonna report them for littering. Report them for littering. Now we spoke about it. I alluded to it. The skills. You talk about the technical skills, the people skills, and the conceptual skill. Cuts and cans. That is what Mr. Sammy Small taught us. That when you're down at the bottom there, you need to have technical skills. When you get into the middle, you need to get people skill. You need to know how to relate to people both in and out of the organization. And when you get to the top, you have to have conceptual skills. You have to be able to conceptualize things. Larry Lewis used to tell us when you go into in Guyana, you go into an office and you see a senior man cock up your foot on the desk and he seems to be dreaming. You said the man lazy, the man is not working. He said, but that is the way. You sitting down there, your brain ought to be working. You're conceptualizing where you're going to move the organization to, how you're going to get there. But that don't happen. The people that you have, none of the skills they're displaying. They're displaying technical skills. They're displaying people skill. And surely, they have not been displaying any type of conceptual skill. Read the book, Cuts and Cans. It will tell you how to deal with that. Well, let me move on. I noted that people telling me, Guyana is disaster after disaster. Only this morning as we were coming live, I got word that the wharf at the Stabrook Market collapsed. The wharf. Well, that was a disaster waiting to happen. I'm not sure if there are any casualties at this time, but let me show you what was circulating. That's the old wharf for the back of the Stabrook Market that it is over the Demerara River. Information is that this morning, just before 11 o'clock, the whole thing collapsed. And again, as I've said, we don't know if they have casualties. Let me show you again a short clip. Yeah, with a disaster like this, very soon you can expect you're going to get finger pointing and name blaming. But that part of the wharf has been a trap, a death trap, a hazard for the longest while. I guess the government can blame the city council. City council can say the government then giving them resources to deal with it, and the fingers are going to be pointed. I said, at this stage, I'm not aware if there are casualties. We hope and pray that there is no casualty, but the whole war for the back there collapsed this morning. And one of the other things that we got to talk about, the accidents, these fatalities continue. Let me show you a video here that occurred a couple of days ago. It's in the news where a woman in Water Street, I think she's a security guard at National Hardware. Look, let me show you. You got to see this thing so people understand what's going on. That is the wrong one. That is the one where the man talking about profiling. But let me show you this one. Now, as we saw, according to the report, this lady, the security guard, was standing there alongside this vehicle, a pickup vehicle, Canton, that was double parked, and she was standing there talking to someone in the vehicle. Looked like the driver. And I don't know how this truck going on just swerved to the left and crushed the woman. Let me show you it again. This woman is standing there, this truck seems to be in a northern direction. And all of a sudden it moved to the west or the left and crushed this woman. The woman died. So that is what is there. And that is not the only accident. You have the one with the guy. Let me show you that picture as well. Somewhere in the quarantine where look at this. How this vehicle reached there? They said the man was speeding. There's a utility pole, what we call lamp post, or we call it in the country lantern post. This man wrapped this vehicle around this lantern post. He died and somebody else was injured. That's a couple of days ago on the quarantine. And then yet still we had a report of a motorcycle succumbs. He was some perseverance, got into some accident. You would have seen things as Wikibook Coast where the cycle burst into flames. He died too. So within the past couple of days, you had 3. And I reported to you sometime last week that the whole country of Barbados recently had its 3rd road fatalities. Its 3rd. The whole country of Barbados with a population of, I think, 280,000 had its 3rd road fatality sometime last week. Guyana had 3 over the past couple of days. And they have not given the figures to tell us how many road fatalities or incidents, road accidents or incidents, because they now have that new category, incidents they have had over or for the year. They're not telling us. Right? Let me remove it. Yeah, so folks, that is why we have accidents are continuing. I remember in his New Year's message this year, the president promised to meet shortly with stakeholders. That's on New Year's Day, the January 1, 2024. He was to meet shortly with stakeholders to discuss this traffic situation. I know that the meeting was held. Certainly, there was no report about this meeting being held. If the meeting had been held, then apparently there's no indication as to whether there has been any improvement. First of all, what measures would have been taken and whether there has been any improvement. So yeah, that's what we have. Let me bring Mr. Conway. See, these accidents, brother, these road accidents. Look at this thing with this woman. The woman standing there speaking to the driver. I don't know, this truck is going in one direction and then suddenly it's off to the left and crush the woman and kill her. Huh?
Yeah, and that space on the right, that space on the right. I don't know, something went wrong somewhere there, and it's real alarming that they just moved there and squeeze her there, man. Oh, guys, and we're not doing anything in relation to traffic. I said we ain't getting a holistic approach towards traffic. Traffic has got to go. You gotta get a 3D approach, data driven decision based on the data. You use your human, and let me use back the term that Mr. Smith, you use your technical, your human, and your conceptual skills to deal with the traffic situation, but we not deal with that. We just jump in by the place. Now and again, I see the traffic chief and them on some traffic program there, but man, nothing really and happening. It is not data driven. They got to get a database, and a database, real time database. Somebody could put it in place. Just like how they employ people when we had the ICIS Integrated Crime Information System, where they employed the clerk, data entry clerk, who was inputting information and sending it to headquarters so that they can do proper analysis. That the traffic has got to get a holistic approach, and it got to be data driven. And apart from that, the 6C, the corruption, got to be properly addressed.
Yeah, the corruption must be addressed. The corruption. Remember, we said corruption is not only taking money, Some people get this view that in order for a person to be corrupt, you have to take a bribe. You have to take a bribe. Not necessarily so. Look at the definition. You're gonna see a lot of other corrupt acts are taking place. A lot of without I'm not talking about people taking cash or any other valuable. A lot of corruption taking place. So you have to address those issues if you want to talk about a society governed by the rule of law. The Attorney General like to use that. Society governed by the rule of law. It doesn't appear that applies to Guyana. But let me move on. I want to ask this question. A few weeks ago, the country learned that the head of the major crime unit, Superintendent Mitchell Caesar, was detained by the feds at New York, questioned at length, and then sent on his way. Has he resumed duty as yet? We ain't hearing nothing. One would have expected in a properly organized and running society, someone would have given a statement that Caesar has resumed. He never tell you what the question is about. And I said then, and I'm advising you again, that when the man come to report for duty, you should get a room outside where you should take off all his clothes, including his shoe, and left with the bare buckter. And the buckter got to be a speedo, not no big time buckter, a kind of a bikini type, so you can see what is going on. You got to pass through X-ray. You got to go through MRI and all those type of imaging before he come into the place. But let me enter Kwashiba, what do you think of? Enter Beniba, make Kwashiba take notice. They haven't told us, with all this crime, whether the head of the major crime unit has resumed duty, having been questioned in detail by the feds. And if he has, was he questioned by the local authorities, the National Security Advisor, the Commissioner of Police, the Minister of Home Affairs, his immediate boss, the crime chief? Did they question him? Did they ask him what he was questioned about? And whatever answer he gave to them, did they consider putting him on a polygraph, a lie detector test to determine the veracity of the answers provided? Wait and see, because my information, listen to this carefully, I have information which suggests that he's not the only senior body in the force question in recent times. I understand other people get questioned too. But let me wait and see. Let's wait and see. I said then, and I'm saying now, people got to be biting. Because you had the case where Barry Dataram seems to have entered into some plea deal with the feds and the court in the US. You had the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs, then May Thomas Toussaint. Her phone was seized by the US authorities at JFK and returned weeks or so after. You have the head of the major crime unit pulled in for questioning for an extended period. Was his phone seized? Did they mine the information off his phone? People sitting down there, and I know they worry, despite the impression they're giving to you, oh, there is no need for concern. That's a matter for the police administration to deal with. They're telling you. But if you pass nearby, you will get fumes. You're going to hear fumes. Fumes, they're farting. They're legoing gas. It's pressure. But let's see where that will go. Then done, sir. That ain't finished like that. Let me understand it clearly. That is not, that does not finish just like that. The other you major crime unit pull in and questioned by Fed for the extended period, and you want to tell me there's a matter to be swept under the carpet? Well, you can do that, but I'm sure the authorities are not going to sweep it under the carpet. I am sure. Folks, as we come to an end today, there's another issue that I wanted to discuss today, but the time will not provide. Time will not allow me to do that. And I refer so you can look up the thing came out again. You know, the thing that's normally run under act. When I say the thing, I'm talking about the Volkswagen thing weak down the leg side. Come out with two stupid statements, which I will want to address in a future program. Because he tell a lot of inaccuracies, a lot of lie. And even though my name wasn't mentioned in the thing, he's showing shades. And therefore, I feel I have a responsibility to respond. And I have all the information. And I will respond. I've said it clearly in the past, you know. I am not going to sit back and allow these people to come and to say things that I know to be untrue and allow it to go. I'm not going to allow it to slide. I'm going to present you with the facts and you make a decision as to who is telling the truth and who is not. I'm going to present you with the facts because the facts are there. Stubborn things, according to Uncle Fraser, former commissioner of police. Facts are stubborn things. Let me bring in Mr. Conway for his close, and then we're going to do a wrap. CC, your closing
All
remarks,
right.
please.
Two quick things. Somebody just inboxed me, I want to know where is the authority stating that a constable has got to serve 2 years as a probationer before being confirmed, and how come a certain female with 9 months service, who is a sister-in-law of a certain senior officer, was promoted to corporal? I don't know how the person was promoted, but let me tell you what the last section 9 said of the Police Act. Subject to the provisions herein contained, a person joining the force as a constable shall be on probation for a period of 2 years. At the expiration of that period, a probationer is, if efficient, of good conduct, good character, and qualify as herein stated for further service, shall be confirmed in his appointment of the force. So that's what the last say. I don't know how the person 9 months get a two stripe. But then I mentioned last week that there is a matter in Division 4C where an investigation was conducted and three persons are lance corporal in the general duty section, a constable in the traffic section, and a constable in the CID were investigated in relation to some corrupt transaction, and the DPP advised that those persons be charged, placed before the court. The file is now 3 weeks in division number 4C, and efforts are being made. The last time I talked about an inspector to pervert the course of justice. They're offering the complainant money. I now understand a very senior officer within the division has joined forces with the inspector to pervert the course of justice. That's why corruption can't finish. If the DPP had advised that the person be charged, charge them in dealing with corruption, in dealing with indiscipline. I used to use 3 words. The action got to be swift, it got to be certain, and it got to be appropriate. Otherwise, things will continue. So 3 weeks now, the file there, and no action is taken, no effort is being made to put them before the court. I'm not saying they're guilty. I'm not saying they're guilty. Put them before the court so that justice can be done.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Stay well. Stay well. Remember, you get a lot of hazards around the place. And folks, as you're right, that's part of the corruption we're talking about because perhaps you aren't taking money, but the mere fact that you have decided to not to implement the recommendation, it is not only indiscipline, it's not only corrupt, it might be very criminal as well because as Mr. Conway indicated, you might be perverting the course of justice, which is a crime. So, folks, I hope you had the information, a lot of information this morning. It was a lot to digest. We haven't gone through all, but the time has run out on us. And I want to encourage you to stay well, be safe. Be safe. You saw what happened to that woman, you see what's going on. Watch out with the Operation Eye in the Sky. Next thing you know, people's rights are being violated and all of that. So until on next Monday, God's willing, we're going to see you here for another episode of Speaking Out, exposing corruption and incompetence. Until then, stay well. Bye.